friends? How goes it in YouTube land out there? Each one of you in your own individual lives and realities. I've been delaying making a video for a few days, and every time I want to make one, I end up not making it, and then my notes and ideas compile. I have endless lists of notes that I take every day whenever I get into the mode where I'm really, obsessed with something. It could be just for a few hours, or it could be for weeks or months, but I want to get the most out of it, so I was going to do a video a couple days ago about being a Kratom vendor, and then that led into a video about Kratom itself, and so I decided to combine them, and I never ended up making them. I was going to do one on herbs like lion's mane and mucuna and a few other things, and then I was like, I'll hold off on that. And then yesterday I was like, I'd been, the day before, I'd been doing some research for, big pharma research, if you will, to add to my years of random stuff that I've done. And I'll take these pages of notes and then graphs and charts and whatnot. And I had all this stuff planned out for a long video about it, which I'm going to do. But I started writing on these things about pharmaceuticals and how fucked up we are. And as a nation and now as a world, the U.S. is a huge consumer of opiates and prescriptions in general, but now that sales are declining finally on OxyContin, they're taking them elsewhere around the world and using the same, propaganda to try to convince people it's not addictive. And my whole inspiration for this was to, try to convey to people you don't have to take pharmaceuticals, that, the sadness and anxiety are parts of life. Just because you're feeling stressed out for a week doesn't mean you should start taking antidepressants for the rest of your life, but it seems like a cure-all for doctors. But I won't even get into that realm. It's funny too, because the world of herbs, I've got all these certificates of analysis from the various herbs that I get, and it's like they show, you don't get certificate of analysis with your pharmaceuticals. You're just assuming that what's in it is what's in it. But we trust our doctors, and we trust those around. Well, some people do. But anyway, that's for a totally separate video. I'm actually, I'm pretty excited because tonight I'm going to a concert. Papadosio and Phutureprimitive are playing down in Portland, and I'm going with a few people down to that. My wife and a few friends, and meeting another friend down there, and it should be a really good show. I hope we'll have fun either way. That's what it's about. So what other kind of shit did I want to talk about? There's so many things that I've been wanting to make videos and talk about, and then I start thinking, well, it's just another video that gets lost in YouTube land. What's the point? Unless I have something that I really feel like I have to convey. But because it's different for me than, say, other YouTubers that do it for a living. I don't get paid through YouTube, and I don't use AdSense or anything like that, which has actually, distanced me from a lot of people who are complaining about how YouTube's demonetized their channel and how, the YouTube Nazis are out to stop free speech and all this. And I looked into it, and there was actually a really good Vox video this morning on YouTube about that. About the supposed YouTube adpocalypse, as everyone keeps calling it, where people are losing their revenue because supposedly they're... Put it this way, some people talk about way too controversial topics that companies don't want to advertise on their videos. So they use algorithms to pull the ads from those videos and end up catching a lot of good creators along with that. So if you have a controversial video title, even if it's something that is, whether it's in support or denial of it, it doesn't really matter. YouTube will often pull the ads on it. I don't really see this as an issue because ads have always been a problem. Marketing's always been a problem. And I know some people say, well, you've got to be able to support yourself. You do, but, you shouldn't rely on, ads from random companies to support yourself. We put way too much dependency on the easy money, and if you make good content, then you should be able to get donations from people if you want to, if that's your thing. But anyway, that's came off randomly, but I wanted to make a note for all of you herb fans out there. People have asked me about maca root over the last year or two, a few times, and I said, look, after what happened with, long story short, about 5 years ago, I was taking maca root regularly in my smoothies, just loved it. And then all of a sudden I went in one day and prices had like doubled. Seriously, like $40 a kilo or something. It's like, what the hell? And so I looked into it and come to find out that some Asian gangsters, cartel members, whatever you want to call them, I think they were Chinese, and they came down to South America and I think to Peru or whatnot, and planned to be buyers of this maca, huge maca shipment, and ended up, I guess, stealing like a major warehouse shipment, like I don't know how many thousands or hundreds of thousands of pounds of maca they took, but they used that as a justification to raise the prices of maca. Oh well, some was stolen, now it's in demand, and it's remained there ever since. And that's the thing with vendors; they'll sell things for anything they can. Trader Joe's, I went down and found maca root there. I bought like 5 or 6 bags of this stuff, and it's organic maca powder. It's about $5. I think it's $5 a pound, which is, I think these are half pounds. So it's $5. It's $10 a pound. So it'd be $20 a kilo, which is still, about half of what a lot of other people are charging. So I just thought I'd make that note for the herbalists out there, or we got to be cautious about what herbs we take, but maca's always been considered very mild. Actually, over the last few days, I've been taking certain herbs in my smoothie again that I stopped taking for a while, and I'll tell you, they're very interesting. I've been lion's mane, mucuna, and now I'm taking cordyceps again, and a couple of others. But you've got to be really cautious taking any herbs or any type of supplements, because they can change the demeanor. They can change your mindset. It can be good or bad. I think it's kind of overlooked. The herbs are very powerful. But I think that, something that kind of clicked today when I was thinking about the difference between medication, say antidepressants, people taking Prozac, and say someone taking a natural substance to try to ease their depression, is that in general, natural herbs tend to have shorter duration in the time that they work, and a shorter half-life, therefore they're out of the system quicker. This is bad for people who need chronic pain medicine. For example, you take Kratom in the evening before you go to bed, and you wake up in the middle of the night in pain. For people who have chronic pain, all the time, they might want to take some sort of an opiate or opioid for the evening so they can sleep. Not everybody, but that helps for a lot of people. I know I had sciatica for like 4 or 5 years, and there were nights when I couldn't sleep more than a couple hours. I could never lay down. I could never sit down. I couldn't stand up. It was just miserable. And I know that just getting one night of sleep sometimes can just be a godsend. It's amazing. So everything has a purpose. Like long use drugs may be useful for some people, but taking the advantage to the shorter duration of herbs is that the addiction can be, it seems to be that if you take something that takes a long time to take effect, and I'm talking like weeks, antidepressants, they'll tell you, here, try this. Oh, it didn't work, try this, try this, try this. Try all 4 or 5 of them at the same time. Oh, by the way, you've got to take them for about a month before they start to work, and even then they may or may not work. Come back in a month if it doesn't work, and I'll give you a different prescription, and on down the line. So a person who maybe is slightly depressed starts taking antidepressants, and within a few weeks they feel better. How do you know if it was the medication or just your natural body naturally resolving itself with the issues? And that's kind of the premise of some of the papers that I was writing. I've written I think 15 pages now, fairly long pages about pharma and the industry. I haven't even got into the depth of opiates. I haven't even barely scratched the surface. I haven't even touched herbs or natural remedies, and you realize it can be a long, a long road to try to explain to people how pharma has got as strong as it is today, but that America is just one pill after another, I think it's $1,000 per person per year in America we spend on pharmaceuticals. That's the average. You know, and a person may say, well, we have more medicines, better medicines, but it's out of control. It's way out of control. I really wanted to mention some of those notes, but it's just, there's just too much to talk about to even scratch the surface. So I'll just go general here. So anyhow, I guess that's it. I really just wanted to say hi to everybody, and I'll just say what inspired me actually to finally come out and make a video here is, it was Mandarin uploaded a video, I don't know, an hour ago or something, and it was about people, and it was about talking to people face to face. And he doesn't upload a lot of videos, so I usually watch him. And he's not a big YouTuber or anything. You probably never heard of him unless you know him through me or through someone else. But if you're watching, dude, you know, it was a good video. I really enjoyed the content of just going out there and saying, hey, you know, it's easy for us to sometimes talk online or the digital communication, but face-to-face communication is very difficult to find with people who are like-minded and have similar interests. And that got me thinking about, you know, of course that fact that, you know, recently I mentioned that I find myself to be more of an introvert than I thought I was. That I'm not the guy that wants to go out into a big group of people and party, or I don't even really like socializing all that much. Probably because of what he was mentioning, that, you know, it's hard to find people that are on the same page. And I don't mean people who agree with me. I mean people who can even hold a deep conversation. You know, some of the things that I mentioned, even if they're just... It's difficult when a person's just discovering that they've been lied to. Hey, did you know that commercials have been fooling us all our lives? Or, you know, what if aliens visited us once? You know, or it's just things that you're like, I've thought about this when I was like 5 years old. Like, I can't even get into a conversation because it's like, it's not that I'm better or they're worse, or it's a matter of we're in different places. And so it's hard to talk with most people. And the more that you learn, and the more that confident you feel in your own research, the more isolated we tend to become. And this is why you hear the old hermit philosophers, you know, off on their own, unable to find anyone who can even remotely hold a conversation in the same way. And this doesn't mean that they have attained some superiority by any means. It's actually something that holds us back, because part of being human means being able to socialize, and that's a valuable asset in conversation, to be able to even talk about menial things, the weather, you know. Hey, how you doing? Nice weather out there. If sports come into the picture, my eyes glaze over. I mean, there are certain things that I just cannot talk about, but things that I realize that other people are obsessed with, and that it's a big part of their life. So it's not for me to shut them down. It's just that, hey, I'm not interested in this. I have to be brutally honest with you. I'm not going to pretend that I understand what you're talking about in football. I'm not going to pretend that I understand what you're talking about if I don't understand it. And even if I do understand what you're talking about, I may not be interested in talking about that. And so, yeah, and that way I find, you know, in conclusion here, that YouTube for me is really a valuable asset in that way. That I can express myself when I want to, how I want to. That I'm not tied to a podium, that I have to be at 3 p.m. to speak about some particular thing. That I can just speak my mind when I want to speak my mind, and people can choose to watch it or not watch it, and that I don't have anything tied up in it either way, or vested interest to get anyone to watch. And a lot of YouTubers out there are like that. I mean, I think they said there's, you know, 400 hours of videos uploaded to YouTube every minute, I think is what it is. 400 hours of content every minute. I mean, there are endless YouTube videos, and so, you know, the fact that people even find my channel is, you know, because I don't have any links to other channels. Like, you find one news channel and you'll find links to other news channels talking about the same thing, but my shit's always random. So I like it that way. That's why I do YouTube. And I got this big ass notebook full of ideas that I want to share someday, but yeah, we'll get to that. There are many paths home. I'll talk to y'all later. Have a wonderful time. I'm going to go get ready for the concert and go have a good time.